back on the congressional side. With lawmakers debating more stimulus money, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson says any additional funding for small businesses should only be given to those that can demonstrate a need for it. For example, he says businesses could disclose what percentage of revenue that they've lost due to the pandemic. Senator Johnson joins us this morning. Do we still need to fine-tune the stimulus we already have, or do we need more, Senator?
Well, good morning. First of all, it's hard to say exactly how much we actually spent of the $2.9 trillion of financial relief, but it's probably somewhere around half, maybe less than half. So we probably have about $1.4, $1.5 trillion that has not been spent, not been obligated. So before we start talking about authorizing more spending, we really ought to take a look at what we've done, what worked, what didn't work. And let's face it, we had to do something massive. We had to do something fast. I think, in hindsight, it by and large worked. We didn't see markets seize up. We had to provide liquidity. We had to provide that type of certainty. But now we, I think, can really take a look at what has not been spent, what has not been obligated, and let's sharpen our pencils and let's try and direct future financial aid to those workers, those businesses that truly need it, and particularly those businesses that really are viable, can reopen, might need more capital. We just need to be smarter about how we approach it moving into the future.
The dealing with COVID in terms of shutdowns and reopenings it's not even just statewide, it's almost county-wide specific to what's happening. But could you just comment overall on what we're seeing, some of the troubling signs that we may be seeing in states that were not necessarily the original hot spots, but now seem to be moving into that arena, like Arizona or Texas? Is it troublesome, and does it mean that that maybe the economy won't open as quickly as we had hoped?
Well, I was a pretty early advocate of trying to keep as much of our economy open as possible, recognizing so much of our economy is integrated. If we want to keep hospitals and grocery stores open, we need all the distribution systems open as well, and that every business, every organization is essential to somebody. But what we should have really focused on, again, I'm not being critical because policymakers from the president on down had to deal with some very imperfect information at the time. But now we've learned. But from my standpoint, what we should have been focusing on are the non-essential businesses that really pose a significant risk to out-of-control spread. Remember, the goal here was to flatten the curve so we wouldn't overwhelm our healthcare systems, and by and large, that hasn't happened. In fact, what's really happened is we've underwhelmed our healthcare systems. It's important to recognize that an elective procedure for one person may be somebody's life-saving diagnostic or treatment. And so from my standpoint, we really should try and keep as much of our economy open as possible, open as much as we can, as safely as we can, recognizing the human toll of this economic devastation that we're undergoing right now.
Would you vote no against additional stimulus, Senator?
At this point, absolutely. Again, we haven't spent about half.
For states, there's nothing that would make sense for you where it was something that's really in need, if it could be proven that's something that's needed? Too late?
Well, I would absolutely vote to redirect, repurpose, remedy part of the $2.9 trillion. But right now, we do not need to authorize more spending. That's probably the last thing we need to do. But we do need to take a look at what we've already done. Again, not being critical of it. We had to do something massive. I think by and large that worked. But now we need to focus and really direct what we're going to do in the future based on what we're dealing with right now. One of the biggest problems with the relief packages we passed, we wanted to help workers, no doubt about it. Everybody wanted to do that. But the $600 flat payment plus up of state unemployment, Wall Street Journal ran an article, 68% of people currently on unemployment are making more on unemployment than they made in their job. That is a huge disincentive to return to the workforce. And I hear from employers all the time they can't hire people. They can't bring them back. We have incredibly high levels of unemployment. There's still jobs open that are going unfilled. So anything we do, we need to make sure that we provide incentives for people to come back in the workforce and the capital for businesses to reopen.
Just switching gears entirely, do you foresee a federal answer or solution to what we've been witnessing in terms of police reform or some way of just trying to make some progress on these intractable issues that the country has faced for so many years?
I think there's a real sincere effort, probably on a bipartisan basis, but I know certainly within the Republican conference, to take a look at what the federal government can do. I think we're well aware of the fact that policing is by and large a state and local issue. And I think you need to be a little careful in terms of the federal government imposing its wishes on state and local governments. But I don't know anybody that didn't take a look at what happened to George Floyd and not just recoil at the horror of that, and just take a look at other instances, things that possibly can be done in terms of training and data gathering to provide better information. Take a look at police unions in terms of some of the protections they offer to bad cops. But I really do believe the vast majority of police officers are good people. They're doing a very difficult job. They're putting their lives on the line. A lot of them lose their lives, so I completely respect the position they're in. And I do believe that the thing that good cops hate most are bad cops. But we need to have a system to be able to weed those folks out, that very small percentage that really should be weeded out of the profession.
All right, Senator. Thank you for all the different topics we went over. Appreciate it this morning, Senator Ron Johnson. Thanks. Ron John.